So the movie begins in 1987. We see a group of women performing a ritual. One of the girls rinses her blood-soaked hands in the pond below. The moment she does, all the masked women standing behind her start dancing in a bizarre way while chanting mantras. All of them were actually following their leader, the one wearing a mask and standing on top of a small hill. Then the leader sticks several needles into the face of the girl performing the ritual. Right after that, the scene cuts to the year 2024. It jumps many years ahead, where two kids, Hanif and his sister Bian, skip school and head to their mother's shop. When they arrive, they see their uncle there as well. Their mother, Tari, is scolding her brother as usual because he doesn't have a job and often comes to her for money. But this time he says, "No, I came to talk about something important. Our mom is very sick. She's about to die. Please, if you can, forgive her and meet her one last time." Tari gets furious hearing her mother's name. She tells her brother, "I'll never forgive her, nor do I ever want to see her. She abandoned us when we were little and never even looked back to see if we were alive or dead." But Kadar, her brother, insists, "Look at the date. This is your chance to get answers to all those questions directly from her." Tari finally understands what he means, and they all set out for their mother's house. On the way, we see that Kadar has also been receiving threatening messages from people he owes money to. By morning, they arrive at Tari's mother's house. Hanif is shocked because his grandmother's house looks like a palace, complete with a huge swimming pool. Hanif whispers to his sister, "I think our grandmother is super rich." As they step inside, the first thing they notice is a massive painting of their grandmother from her younger days. She's beautiful, holding a wooden mask in her hand. Soon after, they meet their grandmother's caretaker. While they're talking to her, it's shown that the grandmother's health suddenly takes a turn for the worse. The strange part is, instead of giving her any medicine, the caretaker plays a weird song, and even stranger, the grandmother's health actually improves. When everyone goes into her room, they're shocked to see that the grandmother now looks even younger than Dari, their own mother. She looks youthful, even though she's around 70 years old. At that age, she should have looked very old. Bayan nervously approaches her grandmother, but the old woman grabs her hand in a strange, almost forceful way, squeezing so tightly that Bayan becomes terrified. Tari quickly pulls Bayan's hand free and tells them to leave the room. Bayan then goes to the room assigned to her and Hanif. She starts looking for Hanif, but suddenly notices a shadow glowing red behind the door. She panics, only to find out it was Hanif messing with her as a prank. At that moment, Bayan's mother, Tari, shows up behind her, and they all laugh. Tari then tells them that the rocking chair in the room actually belongs to Grandma. Meanwhile, Kadar is snooping around the house and discovers a stash of money inside a cupboard. In that same cupboard, he also finds the wooden mask we had previously seen in the painting. That night, the caretaker tells Tari and Kadar that Madam's condition has been like this for a month, and even the doctors have given up hope. I think some spirit has possessed her, adding that he has called Shaiman for help. Dari, who doesn't believe in such things, refuses to go along with it. Elsewhere, Hanif's toy car, the one he was using to tease Bayan, goes missing. When Bayan searches for it, she hears the sound of the toy coming from under Grandma's bed. Scared, she crawls under to grab it. But just as she pulls the car out and is about to leave, Grandma suddenly convulses and collapses on top of her. Grandma keeps seizing violently. Bayan screams and everyone rushes in. Kadar quickly pulls Grandma off of Bayan and lays her back on the bed. But then, out of nowhere, Grandma sits up again and vomits all over Kadar. The paralyzed woman gets terrified when she suddenly stands up like that, so they call Shaiman over. Shaiman gives some leaves to Tari and tells her to keep grinding them. Then he hands a coconut to Kadar, makes him stand, and says, "Whenever I tell you, you have to strike right in the center of this coconut." Shaiman then goes near Grandma and begins his ritual. As he chants and performs the rites, Grandma's body starts trembling more violently, as if she's in unbearable pain. During the ritual, he repeatedly orders Kadar to strike the coconut with the dagger. Each time Kadar does so, a needle bursts out from Grandma's face. Many needles even come out of her mouth. Finally, when the last needle emerges, Grandma dies. The shocking part is that the moment she dies, her body instantly transforms from that of a young woman into the frail body of an old woman. The transformation takes only seconds, leaving everyone stunned. Shimon then explains to them that Grandma had once been part of a ritual, and because of those 4 needles, she couldn't die naturally. He hands the needles to Kerr, telling him to return them to where they originally came from. Shimon also warns them that since Grandma had performed so many experiments and rituals on her own body, she cannot be buried in the ground. The earth will reject her, and her ashes cannot be burned and scattered in water either. Instead, her body must be thrown into the same pond where she once performed her rituals. Shimon also tells them about the pond and says the ritual must be done on the coming Thursday. Tari gets very angry and says, "Why do we even need to do all this?" Shimon replies, "It's necessary to follow exactly what I'm saying without any questions. Otherwise, you'll bring trouble upon yourselves. You have to keep Grandma's body here for the next 7 days, and only on the following Thursday will you be able to take her there." Hearing this, Bayan and Hanif look very disturbed. Bayan is also terrified, but Hanif comforts her, saying, "Don't be afraid, I'll always be with you." The next day, Qatari and the caretaker begin bathing Grandma according to the method explained by Shimon. While doing this, Grandma suddenly speaks, saying, "Leave me." Tari panics and drops her right there. Later that night, they bring Grandma to the middle of the hall and place her there. Tari sits nearby and begins praying. She feels as though the caretaker is chanting something behind her. But soon she realizes it isn't the caretaker. It's some other presence sitting behind her, telling her to leave immediately. Once again, Tari is terrified. Meanwhile, Bayan can't sleep. She wonders why her mom isn't sleeping with her. As she's thinking, she notices a shadow outside her door. She opens it, but no one is there. As she's about to close the door, we see a ghost standing behind her. Bayan doesn't notice it and pays no attention. But when she goes to bed and pulls a sheet over herself, she suddenly sees her grandmother's spirit lying right there with her. Bayan screams loudly and Tari rushes in after hearing her. Bayan tells her how Grandma's soul was lying on her bed. Dari then stays with her for the night. The next morning, Hanif is shown giving his friends a Facebook tour of the entire house. He even shows them that there's a big pool at Grandma's house. He's using Tari's phone to do all this. So Tari starts looking for her phone. To tease her, Hanif hides inside a cupboard. But just then, a wooden mask lying inside suddenly flies right in front of him. Seeing this, Hanif screams in fear and runs outside. Bayan comes over after hearing his scream. Hanif tells Bayan to check what's inside the cupboard, but when Bayan looks, there's nothing there. Later that night, we see that some people were messaging Qatar because he owed someone 40 million. The next morning, he tells Tari, "We should sell this house according to Mom's will." But Tari gets upset and says, "Mom just passed away. It hasn't even been 7 days and you're already talking about selling the house? You only ever care about money." Kadar replies, "What about before? We were attached to them, but now we have to move on." Then Honey takes out the mask from the mug that had scared him earlier. Grandma Ryan's chair starts rocking on its own. Ryan comes over and says, "What are you doing? You know this mask belonged to Grandma, and so did this chair. You shouldn't mess with her spirit like that. Don't you know that after someone dies, their soul lingers in the house for 7 days?" Hanif doesn't believe it, but after Bayan keeps repeating it, he finally gets up and puts the mask back in the cupboard. Around midnight, Hanif wakes up and sees Bayan herself rocking on Grandma's chair, even though she had scolded him about it earlier. Hanif says, "Please don't make noise, I'm trying to sleep." Suddenly, someone pulls on his blanket. When he looks up, he sees Bayan staring at him in a strange way. Terrified, Hanif screams and runs out. As soon as he gets outside, he tells Tari, "Something's wrong with Bayan." But when Tari comes into the room, she sees Bayan peacefully sleeping in her spot, completely unaware of what happened. Now Hanif is shaken and says, "I won't sleep with Bayan anymore." Tari replies, "Fine, I'll stay with you tonight." When she lifts the blanket, they find Grandma's wooden mask hidden underneath. At this point, Hanif apologizes to everyone for stealing the mask and promises that he'll never take anything that doesn't belong to him again. He also confesses to Tari that whenever he puts the mask on, he sees Grandma. Now he has started getting scared of this place. Tari promised him, "We'll go back home soon." Hanif was also becoming afraid of Bayan, which made Bayan feel upset. She told Hanif a story about something he hadn't even done and assured him, "I'll always take care of you." The children, who hadn't slept all night, finally dozed off together on the sofa. When Derry saw this, she told both the caretaker and Qatar, "You two stay with the kids. I'll just go get the tickets because we have to go back home in 3 days." When the children woke up, they were terrified and couldn't understand why everyone had left them alone inside the haunted house. Then were shown Adar, who was completely drunken with a girl. He told her that her mother had performed some ritual that caused a bunch of golden needles to come out of her face, and that he would get rich by selling them. Because of this, the girl started crossing all limits with Kadar, while Kadar completely ignored the children. The kids refused to go back inside that scary house. They had decided to stay outside and wait for everyone, but after a long time, Bayan needed to use the bathroom badly and couldn't hold it anymore. So she told Hanif, "Come with me. We'll each take turns using the washroom and look out for each other." After Hanif was done, Bayan went in, but she took too long, so Hanif started knocking on the door over and over. The moment Bayan opened the door, both of them saw Grandma's dead body right behind them inside the washroom. Terrified, they screamed and ran out of the house, where Tari came and caught both children. The next morning, we see Qatar, who had passed out in the graveyard with no clothes on. When he woke up, he quickly put his clothes back on and tried to sneak back into the house. But Tari caught him and scolded him harshly for leaving the children alone. She also smelled alcohol on his breath, which made her even angrier. And she said, "I was wrong to trust you again and again." Kadar also brought some gifts to impress the children. But even after seeing the gifts, the children were not happy with him. They told him, "You left us alone, and later Grandma's body came alive again. She killed us and scared us too." That night, when Dari opened her eyes, she saw that Bayan wasn't on the bed. When she stepped out of the room, she found many masked women inside the house. They were performing a ritual, placing Bayan's grandmother's mask over her face. When Tari came out and tried to wake her up, all the women circled around her and spoke in one voice. "You must not break your promise. Let whatever is happening to your daughter happen." Tari shoved the women aside, rushed to Bayan, and tore the mask off her face. The moment the mask came off, all the women vanished, and Tari saw Bayan had fainted. Whatever had happened, no matter what she had already gone through, Tari didn't want it to get worse. She immediately burned the mask and told Kadar, "We'll hold Mom's funeral today itself." Kadar tried to stop her, saying they shouldn't go against the shaman's words, and insisted they wait just one more day. But Dari replied, "I can't wait another day. Who knows what could happen in that time? If you won't support me, I'll do it alone." Even though he didn't want to, Kadar agreed. Together, they carried out the funeral. On their way back from the graveyard, heavy rain poured down. As they passed by Grandma's house, for a moment it disappeared from sight, and when they looked again, they saw massive shadows outside it. Terrified, they followed the caretaker, who led them to her house. But when they opened their eyes, they were back inside the same house again. Mom's dead body was everywhere. Suddenly, Kadar was picked up and thrown outside. In the morning, we see him lying in the pool. His eyes opened when people started throwing stones at him. Everyone was shaken by the horrors of the night. Tari told him, "We'll bring Mom's body back and do exactly as the shaman instructed." I think that after doing that, Mom might not hurt anyone anymore. Qatar and Tari quickly run into the graveyard, dig up her body, and put it into the pool where the ritual had been performed at the beginning of the movie. Kadar throws the pouch of needles in with her, and then they finally return home. The next morning, Dari starts packing to leave. But while packing, she discovers the same mask in her luggage, the one that had belonged to her mother. She had already burned that mask. Shocked, she picks it up and it almost pulls itself to her face. When she puts it on, memories of her mother's entire life start flooding into her mind. It's revealed that when Tari was born, her mother wasn't able to breastfeed her. Even though her husband was very supportive, Tari's mother couldn't accept the fact that she couldn't feed her own children. Out of desperation, she turned to that ritual. But because of that ritual, their father ended up dying too. That one mistake pushed Tari's mother into a corner where she eventually had to drive her own children out of the house because the ritual demanded more sacrifices. Wanting to protect her children, she had no other choice. Now Tari sees her mother's spirit in the mirror, apologizing to her. Her mother explains, "I took you away so that the curse of those needles wouldn't fall on you. I wanted to die carrying this curse myself. The ones who created the ritual wanted to take you with them, and they wanted to kill Kadar too." Crying, her mother pleads, "Tell your father there's still time. Please end this curse." When Kadar asks what he has to do, her mother explains, "You must throw those charm needles back at the same place where the ritual was first done. Then break this mask and never return here again. But all of this must be completed before tomorrow evening." She also gives Tari a protective charm for their safety. But right after that, Tari sees her mother's spirit being dragged away by a masked woman. Furious, Tari storms to Kadar and says, "You liar! You even switched out those needles. Do you know how much trouble we could get into because of that? You're so selfish that you risked all our lives just to pay off your debt." After Tari scolds Kadar, he hands the needles back to her. When they step outside, they see Hanif and Bayan stuck to the roof. Suddenly, something throws them both down. A powerful storm blows in, pulling the children away. They manage to save Bayan, but they can't save Hanif because some invisible force lifts him and carries him away. Tari realizes that if she wants her son back, she must throw the needles into the pond right away. She leaves Bayan with the caretaker and sets off. As she goes, Bayan pleads with his mother, "Remember, you have to bring Hanif back." Reaching the pond, Tari throws the needles into the water while chanting the spell her mother taught her. As soon as they sink, a voice rises from the pond. "We are only taking what we were promised." Inside the water, they can see Hanif's body. Seeing this, Kadar bursts into tears and begs, "Let Hanif go. He's innocent. Take my life instead." As soon as he says this, Hanif begins rising out of the water. Tari and Kadar dive in, swimming to pull him out. Tari desperately tries to revive Hanif, not realizing that Kadar has vanished behind her, dragged beneath the water. We then see many masked women surrounding Kadar, and the leader, the same one who once pressed the golden needles into Tari's mother's face, declares, "We are only taking what we were promised." Tari breaks down crying, recalling her mother's words. She repeats the spell and shatters the leader's mask. Instantly, the masks of all the women crack and fall away, revealing their terrifying skinless faces. Screaming, they vanish into the water, leaving Kadar behind. Tari is overwhelmed with relief. She saved Hanif, and Kadar's life too. But then the leader emerges from the water, drags Kadar under, and says, "Your mother forgot that she was supposed to make a sacrifice in these waters." Tari panics and jumps into the pond, but she can't find Kadar anywhere, nor does she see him rising again. The next day, we see that Tari, along with the caretaker and her children, has locked up the house and left. In the post-credits scene, we're shown the abandoned house after 100 days. Everything looks normal, except the painting of Tari's mother that Tari had noticed when she first arrived is now missing. Inside her mother's room, we see Tari's mother's spirit dancing. The story closes with the haunting question of whether Tari's mother's soul ever truly found freedom or not. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.